Hey guys, Mr. Andrus here. I wanted to take a minute, and I was thinking about this. I teach history. I want history to be important to you. I want you to think about how things in the past affect how people make choices and become what they are and who they are. So I thought I'd give you a little tour of my past, just to briefly give you an idea of maybe how I turned into what I am. So let's go for it. We will start with where I was born, which is in California. Town in the middle of the state, Sacramento. It's the state capital, and it's a pretty diverse place. I grew up with white kids and black kids and Mexican kids and Vietnamese kids and Russian kids and Tongan kids, everything. So a lot of people there from a lot of different places, a lot of kids that their mom or dad came from these other countries. So they're the first generation of their people born in America. A lot of my friends were that. The one thing that really tied us all together is that we were all poor. I mean, I lived in a part of Sacramento called North Highlands. This is actually my parents' house. They still live there. This is where I grew up. In fact, I was playing catch with my little brother once, and I ran him right into this tree. Smashed his face, but he held on to the ball. It's a story we still laugh about today. But today he could totally beat me up. He's a big old prison guard, and I'm just an old history teacher. Anyway, so I grew up there. Didn't have a lot of money. When I was a young kid, my dad was a janitor for the local high school. Later on, he ended up doing building work for our church. So that paid a little better. But I had a mom and a dad. They both kind of took care of me and looked out for me. My family life was actually pretty good. So I was poor, but I didn't really know it. And everybody else was poor, so it didn't really stand out. So I don't think that had a huge impact on my life. I don't know. I went to high school at Highlands High School, home of the Scots. I didn't know I was really intelligent until my sophomore year. An English teacher I had as a freshman came up to me and said, "Hey, what are you going to do after high school?" And I said, "I don't know, I guess I'll probably just work construction." And she said, "That would be such a waste, Jared. You're so smart." It's the first time I can really remember a teacher saying I was smart. And I started to believe it. So I started working hard. By the time I graduated, I was captain of the football team, I was captain of the debate team, captain of the law team. So lots of different kind of leadership experience there, some of it in sports, some of it academics. I graduated with a 4.0, so I was kind of a jock and a nerd, and that was okay. I applied for BYU, got accepted, and then totally panicked because I was poor. I didn't know how I was going to pay for it. It cost, I don't know, $5,000 a year back then. It costs a lot more now, I'm sure. And so I didn't go. And instead, I did a whole bunch of jobs. So I was a custodian for a long time at a lot of different places. I was a security guard at a bunch of different places. I worked at a gas station, which ironically I do right now too when I'm not teaching. I worked at McDonald's for my first job. I was a telemarketer. I sold credit cards. I worked for Brink's Armored Car, both as a driver and as the guy who hops out of the back. I once took a nap on $62 million, so that was interesting. But the one job I really stuck with, what my career was before I was a teacher, was UPS. And I trained people how to drive these tractor trailers, the semis. And that was a really good job. It paid a lot of money, and I enjoyed it. But circumstances kind of led me to do some different things. I'll talk more about that in a second. I went to my local community college when I lived in Sacramento, American River College. But when I was at UPS, they offered to help pay for school if you went. And so I went back to school online at Thomas Edison State University. That college is in New Jersey. I've never set foot in New Jersey. But I went there and I got a couple degrees. You know, I have a BA in history, which you would expect from a history teacher, but also sociology, which is the study of how people interact and kind of what those connections look like when people get together, why groups of people do the things they do. So that's pretty interesting. This is my family, and really it's kind of the story of two families that are still slowly evolving together. So I have 5 biological kids, and this is my wife, Laura Jean. But a few years back, 3 or 4 years now, she died of breast cancer. So we were married for 24 years, and she died before we hit 25. And that was kind of a hard thing. I know some of you have had to deal with stuff like that, whether you have a parent who died or divorce or who knows what. So I can relate a little bit to some of that. After she died, I really just wanted to live my dream. I always wanted to be a history teacher. So I quit UPS. We moved out here to Idaho. I actually moved to Boise, and I met this young lady, Shayla, online. And I started driving out here from Boise once or twice a week to date her. I ended up moving out here, and we got married a couple years ago. It's almost our second anniversary. So moving right along. So this is Duke and Katie. They're two of my kids. Jack, who's a student here, you'll see. He's a new 7th grader. And I adopted him. My wife, Shayla, again. This is one of her older sons, Phoenix, and over the summer they got married. So I have Jesse, who's a new member of the family here. Speaking of summer, let's talk about what I did over the summer. So my family, we went to Niter Cave, which is just a big ice cave, kind of out in, I forgot the name of the little town it's in. But you just go crawling, and it's super deep and long, so we went and checked out this ice cave. I took one of my other stepkids shooting because he lives in Ohio, and he came out here and I took him shooting. I enjoy my Second Amendment. I'm almost done with this book, Collapse by Jared Diamond. He's one of my favorite authors. He talks a lot about history and sociology. He's a professor, or at least he was, at UCLA. I painted, so this is me painting. I built this canvas. I painted this picture that's right up here behind me of John Brown. So that took a big chunk of my summer. I went to church with a mask on. Once I was allowed to go to church again. For a long time I didn't even get to do that. So this is me off to church with my matching tie and mask. Me and the wife went to this weird little vacation spot, and they happen to have, I don't know why, it doesn't fit with anything else they have, but they had this empty fake bomb left over from, I don't know, some war or another. And I just thought it was cool. So that's a picture of Mrs. Andrus sitting on a bomb because she's the bomb. I started work at a gas station. It's common sense. Not this particular one, I don't think, but now that I look at it, it might be. And I did that when COVID hit and we went to all that online school. My wife is a massage therapist, and they shut that down completely. She was not allowed to work. So I went and got a second job working at the gas station just to make sure things were okay. And it turned out that that was probably a good idea. And then this is me and Mr. Cannon meeting up somewhere in the school here to try and get our rooms back together, get things ready for school. So that's kind of what I did over the summer. So that's a little bit about me. Feel free to ask me questions when you come into school, and I look forward to seeing kind of a little bit about where you're from, what you did this summer, as we spend some time together, hopefully a lot of it in class and in person. Take care, guys. I'll see you.